thank you all for being here, and thank you for the EPA stakeholders meeting that we're hijacking, the Make a Visible Difference initiative the EPA is doing. I got to tell you, from my point of view, you know, people think about EPA as an enforcement agency, an agency that deals with just the environment, but the EPA is an economic development agency, as far as I'm concerned, because it helps us look at the places that are, you know, either contaminated or not, or the way we're doing with drinking water, whatever the issue may be. If we make those places that they cover better, it makes a better business environment, it makes a better living environment, and that's all, to me, equals a better economic development effort. So I have the pleasure today to talk about yet another instance in where the EPA has come to help the city of Lawrence. I was fortunate, it's kind of a fortunate, unfortunate thing. One of the first things I had a chance to deal with when I became mayor was a fire at the Merrimack paper site. It's an old building. They owe us a lot of taxes. All this stuff is there. It's kind of a mess. It was a pretty huge structure fire. Afterwards, in conversation with the EPA, the AG's office, our offices, we wanted to make sure that people that owed us the money paid for that, made sure that the place was safe. And the amount of help that we got from the EPA early on, they didn't know us from Adam. We were such a new administration. But I believe there was almost 1.2, Abel, where you at? 1.2? $1.2 million in remediation there to make the site safer. And helped us in the effort to make the people that own the building pay what they owed the city, paid for the cleanup, but stay on top of them. And we've, you know, through the AG's office help, and the help from the EPA, we've been able to bring some of that to justice. And we're talking about a building in a facility that had been a blight, continues to be a blight, but it was more of a blight in our community for many, many years. So it's great to be here. We couldn't do this work without our friends in government who are always supporting us. A friend of mine who used to be my boss on the city council, State Representative Frank Moran, is with us. Representative Marcos Devers. Our fearless current city council president, Candice Vasquez. You know, people that work for the city and know that Abel Vargas, our economic development director, Teresa Park, our planning and community development director, our acting DPW director, Brian Pena. But also we have some of the agencies that, people from the state are here. But Derek Mitchell from the Lawrence Partnership is here with us, a big important group for us. And Brad and Leslie from Groundwork, we wouldn't be able to do half the things, 75% of the things we do without Groundwork Lawrence. So at this time, I wanted to again, the words I said earlier about how important the EPA has been to our administration and really to Lawrence is, I could stand here for a day and talk about it because they've been so good to us and so helpful to us. We're going to get a lot of stuff done because of their help. And I think that's in large part because of the leadership of Kurt Spalding in an environment where there are very few resources and trying to find out where you can make the best difference. We think there's a lot of opportunity in places like Lawrence, but he's been doing it in places like Bridgeport as well. So it's, I like to think that he likes Lawrence. But it's just like, I think he likes places that look like Lawrence, and we're just glad to be that way. And we're just glad, one of the things I tell Kurt all the time is that if you help us, we will make sure that we make you feel proud of having helped us, and we hope that we do that today. But I'd like to introduce the EPA Regional Administrator, Kurt Spalding.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor and Congresswoman Tsongas. It's great to be in Lawrence. I do love Lawrence, Mayor, of course. I love every city in New England, but this one I have great passion for. No, it is a great city. I just, driving in and looking at the mill structures, this city reflects our history and it reflects a future. And I know that's what you all have been working so hard on. It's a great pleasure to be here. And to be able to announce that Lawrence is one of 10 cities in the United States to win a technical assistance I hate to call it a grant because it's not financial. It's services, technical assistance in services to help Lawrence prioritize its future investments in drinking water and water infrastructure. Now, I think we all can appreciate, where we probably didn't a couple of weeks ago, just how important it is to think about drinking water infrastructure and wastewater infrastructure. Because we've seen what can really go wrong in a city that's not a lot different than Lawrence in Michigan. It's this connective capability here that makes Lawrence so special, in the leadership of the mayor and, of course, the council members. This doesn't happen without that. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is EPA wouldn't invest if Lawrence wasn't a place worthy of investment. So I'm very excited that you've been able to win this grant or win this technical assistance. The problems are very big. Over $271 billion is the number nationally that's needed to fix wastewater infrastructure across America. That's a huge number. And obviously, getting $1 billion into Lawrence is probably not going to happen. But what can happen in Lawrence, I think, is a focusing and understanding of what we need to do first and what we need to do second, and what are the challenges and priorities. And that's what this money can really do. Now, we're here under the label of making a visible difference in communities, and Lawrence is a community we're very proud to be in and be working here. It's part of the larger ecosystem of New England that cities like Lawrence on the Merrimack River, which is an incredibly important watershed for the future of this region, comes together and deals with challenges like safe drinking water or flooding risk, which is becoming a newer and harder challenge as we see more significant large rainfall events in this region. So I am incredibly pleased that Lawrence competed and won. The mayor talked about that removal event. Lawrence competes and wins a lot. And I have to acknowledge, without organizations like Groundworks Lawrence, that just doesn't happen. I've been here several times on grants you've received, so congratulations. Hopefully I can come back some more. Hopefully someday the checks get bigger. Our era at EPA will come to a close when President Obama leaves office. But at some point, and I'm trusting the Congresswoman is fighting this battle every day, and I know she is, because without efforts like hers, I don't know what EPA's budget would look like, frankly. We have our naysayers in the Capitol Hill, but because of her and her colleagues in Massachusetts and across New England, we soldier on with this mission, as the mayor said so specifically, a holistic mission. It's not just about the environment, it's about well-being in Lawrence, about the opportunity and community and all the words we use to talk about building a stronger and better Lawrence as we go forward. So I'm very pleased to be able to yield the podium to Congresswoman Tsongas.
So I just want to get an opportunity to introduce Congresswoman Tsongas, but I will say that we don't mind that the checks aren't that big. It's just something to keep coming, because if you think about it,
Never heard a mayor say that.
it adds up. I'm not a home run type of guy. I just want to get on base,
Yeah.
and then move the runners over.
That's a good point.
And so I was just looking at the 3 big checks that we have in the office today, and on top of that, plus the $1.2 million, the EPA has been good to Lawrence to the tune of about $2.5 million in 2 years. So no complaints. So thank you so much for that.
That is money.
It is a lot of money, and the impact's being felt. Congresswoman Tsongas is not just an advocate for our community because she's elected to do so. I think that she has seen the incredible transition and transformation in Lowell, and just sees that for the city of Lawrence. And we don't have a chip on our shoulder about those things. I'd gladly be Lowell's little brother if we want to be. And as long as we have the same type of trajectory, and I think that we're on that course, and it's people like our Congresswoman who had the foresight to help us fight. Yeah, absolutely. When we were all fighting about what to do with the in-town mall, she got us on track. and made us take the right votes and get us this beautiful Al Huffney building that we have down on Common Street. And sometimes it takes a congresswoman to do that type of stuff because we have different things going on the ground. So on top of the fact that I probably wouldn't be here as mayor today if it wasn't for her support, the work that she does for the city of Lawrence is just so immense, and it's always my pleasure to introduce my Congresswoman, Nikki Saunders.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be here with Mayor Rivera, with Kurt Spalding, and with these wonderful elected officials at both the city and the state level, and to be in a room that brings so much talent and represents so many different interests that are important to the future, not just the city of Lawrence, but the future of any community. The kind of partnership that's demonstrated here is really the key to a vibrant future. And I always say, every time I come to Lawrence, I do see good things happening. And we were always. And this is just another example of it. It takes a partnership between every level of government. So whether it's the federal level working through the EPA and Kurt Spalding, who doesn't have an easy job in these times with constrained resources and ever-growing needs, and across this country, an agency that is not always as well received as it is here in the city and in this Commonwealth. But nevertheless representing the important talent and investments that the federal government can bring to solving national problems that have local impacts. Working with the state delegation, always so important because there are specific things that the state can bring to it, working with the city in a collaborative way, working with the nonprofit sector that's so well represented here, and the private sector that the partnership represents as well. If these players don't come together and work together, good things do not happen. So it's great to see, and that's the lesson upriver that I always bring to Lawrence and to other communities. At gateway cities, given the challenges, the historic challenges we have, but also the great history we have, and the way we embrace our diversity and the way we embrace our contributions to the life of this country are things we do not want to give up on, but we also want a vibrant future for our community and our children. And nothing is more important, as we've learned in Flint, Michigan, unfortunately, that water and the quality of the water plays a very important role in the well-being of our people. And so it's great to see the EPA and the city here taking a proactive stance, looking at ways in which to think about making the investments over time that are going to be needed to make sure that this city and others like it have a future, a promising and healthy future for everyone. So it's my honor to be here to represent a government that understands it has a role to play. It is a fight we have in Washington every day around what the federal government's role should be. And at the very least, it has to bring resources to very challenging problems without without those resources, we cannot make the progress that we need to move forward. And that is a fight that will go on. Kurt is part of the Obama administration. We'll see what comes in the coming year and into next year, but I want to thank him for all the great work and all the tremendous resources that he has brought to this city that has so much energy, is so creative, always brings so many people to the table to think new ideas. You may be rooted in the past, but you're very much focused on the future. It's great to be here.
So what an exciting day for Lawrence, being one of 10 communities nationwide to be picked for this. And it doesn't go unnoticed that when communities like us that are having troubles like Flint, Michigan, that there are places like Flint, Michigan, that we are trying to do the best we can. And the reason why we're able to be successful, at least at this point, is because of the groundwork laid by the staff at the water department. And I want to just point out that Brian Pena, who's our acting DPW director, is also our water commissioner. He was appointed by Governor, absolutely. You know, in his short time as water commissioner, he's been appointed by Governor Baker to be on the MWRA, one of 3 positions up there representing the Merrimack Valley, the Merrimack River. And his work with Woodin and Curran, our current water treatment plant vendor, they've done a lot of work in our waterways, our sewer systems, and that sets us up to be able to get these things. So it wasn't nothing there. There's good leadership there. But again, having been on the council when that happened, it doesn't happen without the vote and support of the city council, who votes to borrow millions and millions of dollars. And it also doesn't happen without SRF type funding, which comes from the state to allow us to buy this. So I think it's important to hear a little bit from our state delegation, our city council president. So Representative Moran, if you want to come say a few words.
How lucky are we to have Congresswoman Nikki Songas with us? And to be our Congresswoman. I just want to say thank you for everything that you do for us, for being a great advocate for us in Washington. I mean, every funding that you get us eventually is going to help us in the short term and long term to get better and to fix our infrastructure. I mean, when I was in the city council, I think we borrowed about $40 million to fix the water and sewer system in the city of Lawrence. And thank you, Brian, you have done a tremendous job. You're one of my legacy when I left the city council, so I knew when I left the city council, the city of Lawrence was going to be a good hand, and thank you for everything that you continue doing for the city of Lawrence. And I also want to thank my colleagues because, this representative, I almost call you representative already. Council President Kendra Vasquez was in the city council back then, and so was our mayor was in the city council. We took this very strong vote, which in the beginning, when you looked at a city such as ours with the amount and the size of our budget, it makes it really tough for us to borrow money like that to do something for the city of Lawrence, but it was for the right reasons. And the city of Lawrence and the people of Lawrence are going to benefit from that. And again, Congresswoman Nikki Songas, thank you for everything that you do for us and what you continue doing for the future of the city of Lawrence. Thank you.
And I don't want to go without saying that, I think the biggest group of people that we can thank are only the taxpayers of the Commonwealth, the taxpayers of our country, but also the ratepayers here in Lawrence who have helped us in a large part to get some of this work done. And that's no small thing. We do it because of their support. Representative Devers?
This is a celebration, definitely. I feel so joyful to see that in Lawrence we are experiencing good news. Forget about anything that could be negative. We are talking about, improving our ecosystem. And great things are happening when the EPA, and thank you for being here and bringing this kind of help and assistance. Thanks to our Congresswoman, the best ever, in helping us. We are, as I said, celebrating our partnership within the public sector. We, the state delegation, the federal delegation, the public agencies, entities, and the private sector. We have now our Lawrence Partnership. We are a coalition of people that are the stakeholders that want to make this city better. And being here, celebrating this kind of assistance that is coming from the EPA, from the federal government, is wonderful. Let's continue pursuing our great thing for our great city of Lawrence. Thank you, and welcome.
And some people like to think that I have the hardest job in the city of Lawrence, but I think that being council president of the city council in Lawrence is a really tough job. And having been a counselor, I know that we could get out of control. Frank can attribute to that. But I think that the early news is that the work that's happening in the city council in this term is going to make a distinctive difference. I'm excited to work with Councilor Vasquez as the council president, but it makes a bigger difference when everybody's working together, and I just want to say that before I introduce my colleague, Councilor Vasquez.
Mayor Rivera, Congresswoman Songa, and EPA representative, it is an honor for me to be here, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you. I appreciate the big efforts that you're working to ensure that the city of Lawrence is in a much better place every single day. We are proud to have you as a representative. Also to the state delegation, thank you for the great work that you do every day, and to all of our directors. From the city council perspective, I will be pushing strongly for a very strong recycling ordinance to ensure that projects like this are successful down the road. I think that the city also has to play an important role in the decision-making, and having a strong recycling ordinance will be another element and component to ensure that this will be successful as part of the initiative that has been taken from the federal government. So the local government, the city council, it is prepared to assist and collaborate in this initiative, and we will do so by pushing for this ordinance in the future. Thank you.
So I think that's the end of our presentation. I think we're going to be around for folks. If folks in the press have questions, you can come in, and talk to us. And I think that we're going to let the stakeholder group get back their meeting and get back to work. But for me, again, it's a tremendous joy to be here, and thank you all very much for your patience and your time. And the EPA and Congresswoman Songas, again, thank you for the work to get us these resources. Thanks.